How's it going, y'all? Welcome back to the Gil Podcast. This podcast is about me, Gil, and the things that I'm currently frustrated with. On today's episode, I am going to go over this whole Cam Newton situation. For those of you who don't know, and I don't really know him too well, obviously he's a NFL player, celebrity. I don't really know too much about him. I'm not that big into sports, but I am big into social scenes, the podcast space, and Cam Newton has been entering the podcast space recently, doing interviews with Brittany Reiner, Brittany Reiner, doing a few other interviews with the gentleman of the I Am Athlete podcast. He's been sitting down and just kicking it. I think he even has his own podcast, which looks amazing. It sounds dope too. But he was on the $1 Million a Game podcast, and he said some extremely sexist, crazy things. And when I saw it and heard it, it reminded me of his old, what do you call I'm not into sports, but like a post-game interview. There was a young woman that was asking a question about, hey, what was it like for one of the players to be doing some XYZ thing? And she said some sport terminology that I don't even know. Like I'm not into sports, but if you were into sports, you probably would know. And he chuckled and said, well, I find it funny that a female would ask that specific question, like her being a woman and asking about this specific play or that move that player did shocked him in a way that he's like, oh wow, women are into sports? That's crazy. So that's what it reminded me of. So I'm going to play the clip the clip that has been circulating on the internet. Maybe you haven't seen it, but just kind of want to go over it and see what the heck he's talking about.
My parents has been together for 36, 37 years now, and it's a beautiful thing. I grew up in a 3-parent household, my mom, my father, and my grandmother. And I knew what a woman was, not a bad bitch.
Okay, what's the difference?
A woman.
Okay.
A bad bitch is a person who's just, girl, I'm a bad bitch. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I look the part, but I don't act the part.
Okay.
And it's a lot of women who are bad bitches. And I say bitches in a way, not to degrade a woman, but just to go off the aesthetic of what they deem is a boss chick. Now, a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs, right? And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of like, I'm a boss bitch, like I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby, but you can't cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
I found it interesting that Cam Newton said that. The song, these hoes ain't loyal. And he's speaking from experience, dealing with women who are very promiscuous in a relationship. And it's interesting because Chris Brown is speaking from experience, so he can talk about it. I feel like Cam Newton is probably speaking from experience here. Maybe at home, he's dealing with a woman who isn't his type of traditional woman, where he comes home and there's food on the table. Maybe he's dealing with a woman who backtalks and doesn't know how to be quiet. And so instead of handling that situation at home, he decides to do the same thing Chris Brown does. Get on a platform and spread the word that women need to learn how to shut up. Women need to let men lead. Women need to be women and not being a bad bitch. He gets on a platform and shits on women. Not just any type of woman, Black women. It's sad because instead of having the opportunity to get on a big platform as that podcast is, and to just shit on someone for no reason because you're most likely having problems at home. Instead of bringing your problems to the internet, handle it at home. You have an issue with one person, most likely. Why make everybody the issue? Why try to point at it for everybody? It's like you're subtweeting. Yo, I just hate certain people, man. No, you hate one person. Or one person is giving you this sense of disdain and disgust. And instead of you handling that situation like a man, you get on social media and act a fool for no reason other than attention, other than the sense of relief to get out that frustration because you're probably not man enough to figure out that situation or get help. So you decide to just shit on every woman, especially black women. You know what would be hilarious though? If women went to Cam and said, "Hey Cam, a real man's beard connect." Like, what you got, alopecia on your face, boy? Oh, that'd be hilarious. Or, "Hey Cam, a real man doesn't wear a stupid Brokeback Mountain hat." Or, "Hey Cam, take off that stupid scarf. A real man would never wear that."
Oh, Mary Poppins looking at boy.
That's probably what a woman might say, but who knows? The idea of traditional doesn't really make sense to me because when these guys say, "Oh, I want a traditional woman," they talk about them coming home from work and having food on the table. It's like the 1950s or 60s, right? Maybe like earlier than 1940s, maybe. Those times don't really exist, where a guy can like go to work and build a house and the woman stays home all day and all she does is cook and clean. Like times have changed. And the traditional woman, to me, is really the modern woman of that time period. So 1940s woman is not a traditional woman. She's just a woman of that time. She's just a modern woman for that time period. Just like an 80s woman or 80s man, they're just that person for that time. Or I need a traditional man. I want a traditional women. No, there's nothing for that. It's like he expects to come home from work.
"Hey, honey, I want my food on the table. I want my feet rubbed. I want you to ask me about my day. I want my newspaper."
No, that doesn't it really exist? The social laws were so skewed back then. Modern times, love has evolved. Relationships have evolved to the point where it's become a partnership. It's become like an actual union. Not saying that it never was, but I feel like right now, the idea of love has become so sought after and understood in a sense that is readily available to almost anybody nowadays because there's so much research, there's therapy, there's couple therapy, there's books that you can read, there's podcasts that you can listen to that can uplift your spirits and teach you how to become a better partner. And there's so much positivity out there for the modern relationship. So for you to say that you want to go back to tradition,
Old Little House on the Prairie head out,
where it's like 1940s, 1950s, where a woman wasn't allowed to speak without being spoken to. A woman couldn't go to the store, wasn't really allowed to do anything. That's wild, my friend. And then that goes to show me that he is comfortable in the space that he's in. And he goes on to talk about how his parents have been married for 36, 37 years and how their relationship is the ideal relationship. That relationship is what he models after his I don't know his whole relationship situation, but that's what he models as like the best example. I don't know his parents' relationship, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty good. I mean, they've been married for a while, but we don't know what his father has been dealing with, his mother has been dealing with. We don't know. We would never know. I'm not even sure Cam will really know. But all I know is that relationships change and evolve for the better. Things have gotten better. People have been allowed to express and learn about themselves, to love themselves first before they love somebody else. Because you can't love anybody without you loving yourself first. And that's something really new age tradition of this modern time where love is first. Back then, it was just, we're just marrying just to get married, getting a citizenship, getting an opportunity, just getting married to shut your parents up. And that's still, today's. But I still feel like nowadays, people know what they want. And they're going to get it. And for you to just want to go back to the past, it's ridiculous. Go handle the situation you have at home and leave the internet out of it. That's my thought. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Gil Podcast. If you all enjoyed it, check me out. I have several other podcast episodes about relationships, tech, pretty much anything. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's the Gil Podcast. Thank you for listening. Love you guys. Peace.